In other major news today, UK prosecutors have confirmed for the first time that they have authorised charges of rape and human trafficking against Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan. Between the two of them, they are accused of 21 offences, and we learnt from the CPS today that the charges were levelled against them last year as a result of arrest warrants executed by Bedfordshire Police. The Tate brothers, with millions of social media followers for their brand of toxic masculinity, are of course in Romania, facing an array of charges there that they deny. They are also dual UK-US citizens, and senior figures within the Trump administration helped them to fly to Florida in February, where they spent about a month before voluntarily returning to Romania. Joining me now live on the programme is James Bloodworth, a journalist and the author of Lost Boys, A Personal Journey Through the Manosphere. Mr. Bloodworth, thanks very much for being on the programme tonight. We obviously are not going to dwell on the specifics of the case that is being built against Tristan and Andrew Tate here in the UK. But I am interested to understand where the trajectory of this goes. They're facing charges in Romania. They're now facing charges in the UK. Is the UK going to have to wait for the Romanian process to finish before it stands any chance of them coming back to the UK to face trial here?
Good evening, and thank you for having me on. Yes, so what you've said is correct. The process will have to play out in Romania first before they then presumably they're extradited to the UK to face the charges here. So we don't know how long the thing in Romania has been going on for several years now. It seems likely it will conclude this year. It seems likely there will be the trial this year. But again, it's been going on. This has been going on since 2022. So we don't know. And then only after that, though, will they face the 21, have to kind of account for the 21 charges in the UK.
But how complicating a factor is it that they have American passports? And apparently a Trump administration that at levels close to President Trump seemed more than willing to assist them when they first left Romania and headed to Florida.
Yeah, so there are links between the Tate brothers and the Trump administration. So, I mean, the Tate brothers were repatriated for a while to the US. So they basically were allowed to go to the US for I think it was a month, and now they've returned to Romania. And partly that seems to have been facilitated by Trump's special envoy, who was reported to have had a conversation with Russia's foreign minister at the Munich Security Conference of all places. So there does seem to be that facilitation. But then the Tate brothers also did go back to Romania. So I don't think it's unlikely they'll try and completely escape justice, especially as now there's a case ongoing in Romania and the UK as well. And I think the scale of the charges, I think they genuinely also believe that they're going to get off, that they're going to be found innocent for this in Romania. They seem, obviously there's the bluster, which is all part of the persona, but I actually think the fact that they did return to Romania, it would seem that they do believe that they're actually going to get off on the things they're accused of.
I'm interested in the bluster from the work that you've done on your book, Lost Boys, A Personal Journey Through the Manosphere. Do you think they relish the chance to go through these legal processes, that actually they're not afraid of these legal processes, particularly because it all helps to build the brand?
I mean, to an extent, I wouldn't say they relish the level it's got to now. I mean, because what they're having to do is they're having to keep up that persona, because that is the business model, essentially. So a lot of these, so the Tates in particular, but a lot of the Manosphere influencers, there's very much the business model is built on this telegenic kind of charisma and bombastic kind of persona, hypermasculinity, presenting this idea of never being phased, of never kind of being weak or quote unquote unmanly or effeminate, and the way they perform in front of the cameras kind of they have to play up to that, essentially. But you do kind of see, especially Tristan, you do kind of see sometimes when they don't think the cameras are rolling, or after a press conference, you do sometimes see Tristan especially looking what I would say was gaunt, and the way I would describe it as gaunt and and worried. I don't think the actual court cases they relish. I think, controversy they relish, but I'm not sure they'll relish when these cases actually come to court in Romania initially. I don't think they'll be relishing that, for instance. I think that's not what they bargained for.
And can I ask you just briefly one more question about their time in the United States? It seemed to me that there was a tension between whatever had happened at senior levels in Washington, D.C. and within the Trump administration to help them get to Florida, and then the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, who looked at this situation and said, I don't want them in the Sunshine State. There's definitely tension within Republican circles about them.
Yes, there is. And funny, there is in the manosphere as well. So you also have kind of more conservative commentators, Jordan Peterson, for example, who they may not object to some of the things that the Tates say, but they really find this, their model of conservatism is really opposed to this kind of what they see as the sleaziness of people like the Tates and this worship of kind of money. And traditional conservatism, as embodied maybe by someone like Ron DeSantis, someone who I vehemently disagree with about a whole bunch of things, someone like that is still kind of repulsed at the kind of sleaziness of this kind of lifestyle the Tates present and stuff. It is kind of anathema to someone like that. I find that very interesting. And that split goes right through, I think, the Trump administration. You do have these traditional conservatives, even evangelicals are part of that coalition. But then you also have people who seem to worship money and crypto and want to present these, like the Tates, present this very ostentatious, quite sleazy kind of lifestyle.
It's fascinating. James Bloodworth, thank you so much for being on the programme tonight. James Bloodworth, journalist and author of Lost Boys, A Personal Journey Through the Manosphere.